They helped build some of the greatest structures in Europe. They were founding fathers, and they signed the Declaration of Independence. They were early American explorers and fought for a better way of life. They led men and commanded armies. They walked on the moon and helped put food on the table. They fought on the playing field and on the battlefield. Who were these great men of virtue, values, and vision? They were all Freemasons, celebrating 200 years in Maine.
What is a Freemason? Freemasonry is the oldest and largest fraternity in the world. From its origins in the Middle Ages, moral symbolism guided their mission. The most common symbols are the tools used by stonemasons, the square and compass. They let a Mason know that he should square his actions by the square of virtue, that he should walk uprightly before God and man, that he should circumscribe his passions, so they become a constant reminder of how he can work in self-improvement.
In 1762, this group of guys got together and they sent a letter to the Provincial Grand Lodge of the Grand Lodge of England. And we got a letter back with a charter empowering us to open a lodge. The significant part there for us, as a history buff, that really sort of gives me goosebumps, is we took our charter, threw it on horseback, rode down to Boston to have it signed and amended. And it's upstairs in our safe, and you flip it over, and it's signed Paul Revere, Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts, 1796, I think. After the Revolutionary War, Masonry started to pick up again. The Masons in this area had a pretty significant impact in changing the name from Falmouth to Portland.
And in 1820, the Grand Lodge of Maine was formed, as was the state of Maine. So that's when we refer back to the history of our Grand Lodge, the Grand Lodge of Maine since 1820.
On June 1st, the delegates of 24 lodges assembled at the Masons' Hall, and the Grand Lodge of Maine came into being and was legally incorporated by the state. The Maine lodges then elected Maine's first governor, Freemason William King, as the first Grand Master of the Masons in Maine.
And Masonry had been active for a few years before that. There had been lodges being formed around the state. Masonry really took off. Significant growth. It was very popular. It was offering something to men in their rural communities that brought them together, but it was also giving them an opportunity to pursue higher knowledge. But at that time in Maine, the governor, the president of the Maine Senate, and the Speaker of the Maine House of Representatives were all Masons.
Maine Mason history can best be told by the Masons who had significant impact on both the state and the local communities. William King was not only the first Grand Master in Maine, but was also the first governor of Maine elected by popular vote. Born in Scarborough, he began work as an apprentice at a Topsham sawmill, where he applied his Masonic values of working hard and saving. William owned the state's first cotton mill in Brunswick. He was the founder and president of the first bank in Bath, and at one point was the wealthiest ship owner in Maine. When the War of 1812 broke out, William served as a major general in the militia in charge of the Maine district. Noting the hardships Maine had suffered, he began a 7-year effort toward statehood that began with a petition to Massachusetts for separation. A granite monument erected by the state of Maine in 1855 stands at his burial site in Maple Grove Cemetery. Born in September 1828 in Brewer, Maine, Joshua Chamberlain was an American professor-turned-soldier who commanded the 20th Maine Regiment to glorious victory at Gettysburg during the American Civil War. Maine Masons have a Civil War Master Mason degree that pays tribute to the impact that Joshua Chamberlain made in Maine's history.
Freemasonry expects us to show duty to our country, our nation, and that was an important part of Chamberlain's life when the Civil War began. He felt the worst thing that could happen to our country was the dissolution of the Union. He also believed slavery was wrong. His moral compass that guided his life and the decisions he made was based on the tenets of Freemasonry.
After the war, Chamberlain went on to serve 4 terms as governor of Maine and later became the president of Bowdoin College.
It honors all of us to walk in the shadow of Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain.
Another great man in Maine Mason history was Galen Cole, founder of the Cole Transportation Museum and the Galen Cole Family Foundation.
I joined the Masonic Order in 1948 by joining Rising Virtue Lodge here in Bangor, and have continued on as a member of that lodge ever since. I was a rifleman in World War II, direct out of high school. And in that course of that war, I lost my entire squad. And I made a promise to my God that day that if allowed to come home from that war, I would do my best to leave my community and my fellow man better than I had found them. And I've worked for a lifetime doing exactly that, I hope.
Galen Cole passed January 9, 2020. The impact he had as a Maine Mason was evident as friends, family, and fellow Masons packed the Shrine Auditorium to honor and pay tribute to his lifelong accomplishments, as all Shriners are Masons. Since 1762, when the first lodge was formed in Maine, Freemasons have been active in promoting education, supporting stronger communities, and practicing charity. Heading up those efforts is the Masonic Charitable Foundation of the Grand Lodge of Maine.
Masons in Maine are a very generous and diverse group. Nowhere is this more evident than in the Maine Masonic Charitable Foundation. It was founded in 1993 and is the culmination of 200 years of Maine Masons giving. And through the foundation, they have now established an ability to give not only to individuals in need and the brethren in need, but also to support the communities in which they live. It is a statewide organization that really looks to make Maine a better place for all of its residents.
The Maine Masonic Charitable Foundations donates over $400,000 annually in Maine, and North American Freemasons collectively donate some $3 million per day to benefit society as a whole.
And when we go out and we do good works for other people and we make that part of who we are as a fraternity, it reminds us that we're not about ourselves, that we're about other people and what their needs are. The Bikes for Books program is the perfect example of that. Of course, that's one of the largest and most successful programs for youth in the state of Maine that we've run in a long time. The big event is always giving out the bikes to the children.
This program has lodges working with local schools to encourage students to read. The more books they read, the more chances they have to win these lovely bikes. Charitable Foundation also supports Maine Public Broadcasting. This is something that's critical to the citizens in the state of Maine. We enjoy the sponsorships of television programs and radio programs.
The thing that I think we could be most proud of is our outreach program to our veterans, our elderly veterans who are living in the 6 veterans' homes in Maine, or our patients at the medical center at Togus. We have outreach programs at each of those facilities, which we're very proud of. And we're proud of them because they represent sort of a grassroots participation by individual Masons in those facilities.
The Masonic Service Association of North America, they have representatives at all the veterans' hospitals and the veterans' homes. 47 lodges in the state of Maine that come here, and they help with patients to the service. And that's a Masonic service program.
Dedicated men have given thousands of hours to spend time with and attend to the needs of those who bravely and selflessly served our country. With 6 facilities across the state and a Veterans Administration hospital in Togus, the Charitable Foundation has donated over $60,000 in support since 2005.
One particular event that goes on every year here in the state of Maine, Toys for Tots Drive, to raise money and to collect toys for Christmas.
Adopted by the U.S. Marine Corps in 1947, and the now famous logo created by DeMolay Walt Disney, Freemasons John Glenn and John Wayne have supported this community program. Each year, from October to December, lodges across the state partner with the Marines' Toys for Tots program to collect and distribute toys. These Christmas gifts bring hope and joy to the less fortunate children right in the local community in which the campaigns are conducted.
The works that we do for other people are really the cornerstone of who we are. So we have to walk this line between being recognized for what we do and advertising what we do. And I think that's one of the things we struggle with within the lodge.
The Children's Dyslexia Center started in the Masonic Temple on Main Street that met an unfortunate demise 2004. The pictures went national news, this building encased in ice. Within a month, the Dyslexia Center reopened.
It was the dedication of the Masons that really got the center started. And the Masons were so dedicated to this Dyslexia Center that they fundraised to be able to open up the center again in our current location.
And so our center, two parts, they assess each student to find out where they need help, and then they give them the help.
To thank all the Masons for all their hard work and dedication to this program, because without them this program wouldn't exist, and it would make life a lot more difficult for the kids with dyslexia.
The Masons are so supportive of our program that I don't need to adjust my program to fit a budget. The message that I get from all my board members is, if you need it, we will get the money to pay for it.
Charitable Foundation also supports DeMolay and Rainbow Girls. DeMolay is an organization dedicated to preparing young men to lead successful and productive lives. DeMolay combines this serious mission with a fun approach that builds lasting friendships. DeMolay opens doors of opportunity for young men ages 12 to 21.
Being part of a Masonic youth organization helped me build leadership, confidence, and lifelong friendships that made me a successful adult.
Students applying to college need to look for more than just school. They need to be a part of a civic or service organization, which are so vitally needed in society today. The International Order of the Rainbow for Girls is another Masonic youth service organization which teaches leadership training through community service, with the motto, Rainbow Gets Girls Ready for Life.
Today we are at Monument Lodge in Houlton, Maine, making a little bit of Maine Rainbow history and starting up a new assembly up here in the county. And it's very exciting because we haven't had Rainbow up here in a while, nor have we had an initiation this big in a very long time in Maine.
So we have 11 active assemblies in the state of Maine, from Sanford to Houlton, and each individual assembly participates in local and state events. So we're excited to be involved in Wreaths Across America once again this year. We're sending, through the Masonic Charitable Foundation, over $13,000 to Wreaths Across America, and we'll be in Togus presenting wreaths or placing wreaths on the graves of veterans.
It teaches you a lot at a young age on just how to be responsible and caring, how to do public speaking, which helps you when you go into job interviews.
The Charitable Foundation also supports the Maine Masonic College with the goal of offering educational opportunities of knowledge for those who are interested in personal enrichment and higher education.
We're here today at the Jordan Planetarium for the Maine Masonic College course on astronomy. The Maine Masonic College is based on the 7 liberal arts and sciences that we learn about in our degrees. We talk about ethics, critical thinking, and subjects along the line of better living.
What is really important is we're interested in increasing the amount of wisdom. And Freemasonry is about the character and the virtue of human beings building and making possible a better world.
Maine Masons are a family of organizations that provide opportunity for fellowship, charity, education, and brotherly love. These tenets not only help improve the individual member, but their families and the local communities they live in. One of the many great examples of these Masonic values is the Widow's Sons and the annual Grand Master's Ride fundraiser.
The Widow's Sons is a Masonic Riders Association, and it was a bunch of Masons that got together actually out in Illinois that decided that they wanted to raise money for charities, also bring out Freemasonry to a different community, try to bring in more members to Freemasonry.
The first year we had maybe 30 bikes, raised a couple $1,000, gone from one chapter, now we're up to 10 chapters. Last year was our most productive year with 9 chapters. We raised $104,000.
So the pleasure that we have in riding and being with our brothers is awesome because it's not just about motorcycles, it's what we do.
Today we are doing a fundraiser for the local American Legion Hall, who sustained some damages last year. Some pipes froze, they had some issues with the heating system. They don't have enough money to fix it themselves, so we've gotten together today down here in Waterboro to help and try to raise some money so they can get their heating system back up in order so they can really keep their lodge and their hall open for the winter.
It's really appreciated by our organization, and they've sure done a good job for us because I don't look like things are going to get much better.
You go around and you talk to any of the Masons around here and they'll tell you they're involved in their community. They're on select boards, they're on planning boards, they're on school committees. They're helping kids out in the community, through DMLA or Rainbow.
Masonry occurs when our brothers leave those lodge doors and they put into practice the lessons that they learned inside the lodge hall. And the brethren are the ones who are out doing the work and trying to bring the good to the communities. We are a community betterment organization.
Woofs and Books is a nationwide nonprofit organization aimed at helping kids improve their literacy by reading to volunteers and trained dogs.
They don't have the esteem or the behavior to be able to stand up and read in front of their peers, but they can certainly read in front of these dogs. The next venue that I'm involved with is I visit weekly in 3 senior facilities with my dogs. When the dog walks in there, the patients, the residents, even the staff just light up in front of this dog. I really believe that this is part of my Masonic profession, to get out in the community and do this work. We can all boast about the lodges and the work we've done in the lodge and in the district. This supports the tenet of relieving the distressed.
We talk about fidelity, charity, love, all of those things within the lodge. And those are important things to talk about and reinforce the ideals. But when we go out and we do these work projects, we put our hands on those ideals and we allow the brethren to blossom because they take those things that we talk about in lodge and they put them into practical use.
Back in January, we started a capital campaign for some improvements to the public library. Fort Kent Masons just made a monetary contribution, which took us over the top, so we've reached our goal.
It would fall under our community betterment grants that the Grand Lodge of Maine will double. Like if we raise 500, they will add 1,000. We've been trying to do more of the hands-on thing and reach out to help, but not just financially, but with our own time and energy. We feel like that's a stronger donation than any amount of money.
We're very appreciative of everything that the Fort Kent Masons Lodge has done for us, and they have really stepped up in this case, and 4D Carpentry as well.
Here today at JW Parks in Pittsfield, Maine, a wonderful family-owned course where for the last 22 years we have played our Meridian Lodge golf tournament. It's a day that we get to support our brotherhood and enjoy the friendship and the fellowship of many Masons from Central Maine, as well as some non-Masonic brothers and some of the ladies in the neighborhood. We have used the proceeds to assist with 3D printers in the school. We've purchased laptops
So I reached out to the Masons, as I know they're really great at giving back to the community, and the donation of those printers has really helped improve the engineering classes that we offer and brought a whole new level of hands-on teaching and programming real-life type of activities for the students to do that's going to benefit them so much when they leave MCI.
We're lucky to be able to raise some funds to do these kinds of things in a small town like Pittsfield. The money that we can donate goes a long way to helping out.
We're finding that more and more are coming up with ideas on a more local level. Every Christmas they go present turkeys to families in need and food baskets. Something that's really meaningful to a small community and to our neighbors. And that's really what, we live in the community. We are neighbors with people who are not Masons, and bridge that gap and to go out and help people is really something that's, I think, important.
And one of the things that comes forth from that is when I communicate with the other brothers who work with me to do these projects, a lot of them will say to me, this is why I joined. It shows me that we can't just sit around and talk about our philosophy and what we do. We need to go out and put our hands on it. We need to do those things.
That's one thing that Masonry will definitely do for you. You will meet men who you will become lifelong friends with that you would never have known if you hadn't joined Masonry. 2
years ago, we had a brother pass, and his widow, was concerned, what am I going to do? Well, one of the things we talk about in Lodge is, taking care of widows and orphans. So we immediately organized a work party and went over to the house. And the fact that a crew was there for just the morning, raked the yard, trimmed the trees, re-leveled the shed, and we were just in and out in a couple, 3 hours. But the impact on her life, knowing that the support was there from those brothers, was really important.
Okay, tonight we are having our annual steak and lobster feed, also our widows and ladies appreciation night. Going to be honoring them, make sure that they feel welcome, at any of our public gatherings.
Well, our widows are very important to us, and as Masons, part of our roles and obligations are to look after our wives, widows, and orphans. One lady told us it seemed like her husband was right there with her. It was good. It was just a good thing. And it makes this program worthwhile. This pin was created as an emblem to symbolize our continued concern and honor for our special lady. It is our distinct privilege to present this emblem to you so that you may wear it with pride.
I'm happy to be here, and I'll see a lot of people I haven't seen for a while. I'm 106, and I want to thank the Masons for putting on this lunch and asking me to come to it.
We help each other. We help each other's families. We take care of our widows and orphans. There's several different offshoots in Masonry, but it all falls down to fellowship.
Going on tonight, we have the Astro Lodge here in Lewiston, Maine. We're doing our 12th annual drive-in barbecue. What we do is we put up a nice big sheet on the back for some fellowship. We put a movie up. We do burgers and dogs. One of our brothers, Brother Nash, brings the carnival stuff with him, so we have that to do this evening. Masonry is not just about making ourselves better men, but it's also about fellowship, and getting the family involved and having everybody have a good time.
And this is the message that, we're trying to bring forward, is that this is a fraternity of good men who come together to use the tools we learn in our ritual to become better people in the community, better fathers, better husbands. We've invited all our friends, all different Masons from different lodges, family. What we're trying to do is let the community know being part of a greater community is one of the things that we as Masons believe.
Brothers all across the state are coming here to have a good time on a beautiful day like this, Cabbage Island Clam Bakes. Events like this go on all the time across the state, but it's brothers getting together and showing that kind of camaraderie and togetherness that helps our community and the things we do in the community.
See people here that I only see once a year, and I see people here that I see all year long.
I love coming out here. The Fellowship of Masonry, that's the greatest thing about it.
Maine Masons represent a diverse group of men of all ages and interests that are proud to celebrate Freemasonry's vast history, cultures, and accomplishments.
We go to events throughout the Northeast. This is one annual event we have promoting Scottish heritage, Scottish history, because the 74th, which I'm portraying, was a Highland unit known as the Argyll Highlanders. We go to portray the regimental and Scots history.
Diversification extends to Masons who are invited to be part of the Scottish Rite Masonry and York Rite Masonry. These ancillary organizations provide Masons additional opportunities for fellowship and focus.
I was motivated to join the Masons partially due to I knew they had done a lot in the community for service work. They have done a lot of cemetery upkeep, they've done community suppers and lunches. Lessons that are taught in terms of morality and how to better your character are really applicable to anyone, and especially to youth, I would say, in terms of how to conduct your lives.
If I was talking to somebody my age who might be a little bit more skeptical, I would say that it's less of what you might see on TV of the Illuminati stuff. I wish it was that cool where we got all the money and riches, but it's not. Through my journey of becoming a Master Mason, the biggest lesson that I take away is trying to help and aid my community. That's a really big lesson in our degrees, and I'm planning on taking that into my professional life as I'm majoring in international relations, trying to do stuff with government.
A young man that has a lot of integrity, good work ethics, I think that would make you a great candidate to be a Mason, and you would have a lot of fun, and it would be a challenge. A young man with those types of characteristics about him, he needs a good challenge, and the Masonry could be what he's looking for.
Going forward is we need to utilize technology more than we do now. We're in the business of people and relationships, and we need to continually look for ways to constructively attract and then build those relationships. I think we need to look for ways to leverage technology to allow more to come in. We do that on a level at the Grand Lodge now by using video conferencing. We have meetings now where we have people from all over the state who typically before maybe wouldn't drive. They work, they just can't do it. Now utilizing technology, they sign in, they're at the meeting, they provide input, and I think we need to look at doing that at the lodge level as well. Now, using the Grand Lodge website, we have calendars for every district in the state. We have a news section where big things that are going on that may have statewide impact. There's something tangible there. They can jump on the website and see what we're doing. We are looking down the road at utilizing podcasts people could listen to gain a better understanding and more knowledge about the fraternity as a whole, or about the operations, or about what is going on with Grand Lodge.
From the very beginning in the state of Maine, through Governor King's efforts, the Constitution of our state inculcated the Masonic principles of racial blindness and religious blindness to the betterment of all of the people in the state of Maine. It set a tone for Freemasonry and for the state that is open to all men who have in their heart a desire to serve, to show empathy, and to lead their communities through work in their lodges. That theme from 1820 until now and into the future is the thing that makes Freemasonry relevant in every place and every time. A man with a heart who wishes to be a better man each day, not just for himself, but for the betterment of the society, to set upon a hill a moral and ethical vision of where we can be, are men who become Masons and who serve in each place and time throughout our history. If you find yourself one of those men, then reach out to a lodge near you, or go to our website, mainemason.org, and learn more about becoming a Mason. For Freemasonry will be here as long as there is a need for ethical leadership and compassion in the world around us.
And I'm a Mason.
He's a Mason.
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 And I'm a Mason.
I'm a Mason. I'm a Mason. I'm a Mason. I'm a Mason.
I'm a Mason.
And he's gonna be a Mason, celebrating 200 years in Maine.